So you are doing some research here.
Yeah, so Cam the intern
Got his own podcast.
got his own podcast, but it looks good.
Looks good. Logos, good
Maybe
graphics.
it sounds good too.
Oh, Cam, hardworking kid.
Cam?
Yeah.
Every day that kid's stock goes up a little
Doesn't
bit.
it?
A little bit.
Ryan, her three on the way. It's good off the backboard and in. Murray, what a take by Tucker. Jones, another steal. Spin on Caldwell, and the layup's good.
I would like to see you hold a mirror up to yourself and interview yourself. As good as this was, it could only be better if it was all you.
Tuning in, I was a fan. I was like, man, let's do it.
Cam, thanks so much for having me on. I'm happy to be here.
Joined today for the first time, Cam Isimone. Gallagher's going to have to shoot it from beyond the arc. And it's good! Jacobs for three. He got it! My goodness, what a shooting performance by Jacobs.
I think Cam's Corner is great.
Tune in to Cam's Corner.
This kid's going to make it. He's going to make it here.
This episode of Cam's Corner is brought to you by Simply Nutrition, located in Johnston, Rhode Island. At checkout, use code CAM for 20% off any shake and tea combo. Simply Nutrition, we're more than just shakes. All right, we are back, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Cam's Corner. Today, joining me back, a former guest, Justin Mazzulla, who's now a graduate assistant coach for the men's basketball team at the University of Rhode Island. Justin, how you been, man? How's it been since the last time we talked?
Well, a lot of great things have happened since the last time we talked. We made it to the NCAA tournament, Vermont UVM men's basketball. We made it to the NCAA tournament and we won a championship. So, in the eyes of my career, I think that's pretty good. And that's what happened since the last time we spoke. And I also got this new position at URI as a graduate assistant. So two good things that have happened thus far.
Yeah, for sure. And a lot of stuff to talk about, most definitely. But before we jump into like the coaching questions and stuff like that, I wanted to ask you a little bit more again about the March Madness tournaments and things like that. After the successful season you guys had, winning the championship and stuff, just kind of explain, reflect off of that, like how that March Madness experience was for you and your teammates as well.
I mean, it was a great team to do it with. We were a really successful clicking team. Unfortunately, we had one loss in conference. That was due to not having our point guard nor our big man Ryan Davis and Finn Sullivan, which was pretty tough. That happened down at Hartford. But I mean, winning. When we went into the playoffs, we won every game by about 25 plus. So winning the championship was a lot to me and a lot to our team. It just had a different feeling around it. It felt like we weren't done. And we kept that same energy going to the NCAA. Unfortunately, we came up short, but I mean, we competed to the end. But just overall, our team, it was a great team to be a part of. One of the best teams I've ever been a part of, and I'm gonna miss Vermont.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, like we said, that season was historic for you as your career. That's probably like one of like your most memorable seasons as well, like playing as a college athlete. Again, just on the season as a whole, just reflect on it, like that championship team, like what that game was like for you and like your emotions going through it as well.
So, I mean, the emotions in the championship game, there was a lot of emotions. I mean, for me personally, for my career, and based on my career, I mean, from viewers from last time, they understand my career. But for new viewers, I went to George Washington first, and I mean, it wasn't the place for me. We didn't have great seasons, and we had some difficulties as programs. And then we lost our first coach, and then we got another coach, and then had more difficulties. But then I kept plugging along, and then I ended up in a great spot at Vermont, which, I mean, it was the best decision I've ever made, and everything happens for a reason, and luckily I got to finish off at Vermont. But the emotions in the championship game stemmed from my perseverance and from my career overall. And a lot had to do, obviously, with my dad not being there and able to see me have that success in person. He obviously sees that from up above, but just the overall, like, my family travels a lot, so and I don't really get to see my brother as often either, but for him to be at the game with his family, my family with my sister, my nephew, Giabella, my niece, but for all of us to be centrally located and then all come together in Vermont for my championship game was pretty surreal. And that was the first time I've ever had true success in college basketball. And for all that just to happen all at once, it was amazing feeling. And there's a picture of me and Coach Becker, because I look at Coach Becker like a father figure at UVM. And there's a picture of me leaving the court and hugging him, because like all that I've been through and all that he has helped me from where I was when I first entered Vermont to where I was able to get to as a college basketball player. I think just all of that walking off the floor hit at once, and it was a really amazing experience.
Yeah, that's so cool to hear, and that's so cool that your family, again, like you said, they were able to see that championship game and travel to the games that you were in Rhode Island, like Brown and PC. I was able to catch those games as well. The perfect way to segue into that would be like explain like how it was to play in front of your family throughout those games before that championship game, again, like at Brown and at PC as well.
I mean, it for my family, that was a close trip, so I really don't give them much credit on that one. I would hope they can show up 10 minutes down the road. But I mean, just family and friends and support people. I mean, you being at the game, a lot of people from Johnston being at the game, a lot of people that knew my dad being at the game. I mean, it just goes to show the type of community that we have in Johnston, but not only in Johnston, in Rhode Island, for those who get out, branch out, and have success in their own ways. I think being able, and that's a lot to do with Coach Becker and the coaching staff. They allowed us to play in Rhode Island, and Coach Cooley allowing us to play his team. Just is nice to see a lot of faces come to support you on different stages in your career. So ranging from high school, when I had a lot of people supporting me at the Ryan Center, and then in the dunk, just is really cool.
Yeah. So as a season as a whole, what would you say was your most memorable game? I mean, obviously we talk about that championship game a lot in these past few questions, but a game that always has stuck with you throughout this past year, and maybe like one of your most like favorite games you played in. If you have one, I mean.
No, I mean I have one, because playing in the Patrick gym is really intense. Like our fans every game are on their feet, clapping, having fun. But I mean, every game was just amazing, and that sounds like cliche.
Yeah.
When you have the success that we were having, we were like ranked like top 5 efficiency offenses, like close to the end of the year. We were just rolling, steaming teams by 20, 15 plus. I mean, it is a lot of pressure when you're in that moment, and it's like, oh man, we can't lose. But at the same time, we're like, damn, we're just having fun. We're just getting started, and then and to continuously build on that every game wasn't that fun in the moment, but it is fun looking back on it now. In the moment, we obviously practiced hard every single day. Like, didn't want to get complacent, didn't want to get comfortable. There's no, like, we didn't want to do any of that. So it was hard to really enjoy it, but after it was pretty cool.
No, yeah, for sure. And, talking to a lot of college athletes and knowing a lot of college athletes, like personally, that's what they say. Like, it's the adrenaline rush. It's not so like the game itself, but once, like you just said, once you look back at everything you accomplished and everything that your team went through and things like that, that's like the coolest thing to look back on, and like the most memorable, I guess, like I said in the question. But so now to kind of transition into like now coaching at URI, after losing March Madness, like your last official collegiate game, what was going through your head? What was the mindset like transitioning into your career now? That you want to stick with playing basketball, or was it like, you knew you wanted to be a coach?
Well, my number one goal in life is to be a successful coach, whether that can be in the NCAA, successful head coach, whether that be in the NCAA college or NBA. I do like NBA a lot, basketball, but despite that, I mean, there was a lot. when playing overseas, you get a great experience, and at some point in your career, being realistic, it will help you. So it was realistic that I wasn't going to make it to the NBA. I was a little too short on that one. So playing overseas was real. It was an option as well, but I had to look at what my number one goal in life was, and that was to be a successful head coach. So I rather have invested my time and do the dirty work while I'm younger than to venture off and play overseas and then wait until I'm 25, 26 to start that dirty work. So that's just what my process and mindset was after the season.
Right, and having someone again as close as you are with your brother and Joey, who's with the Celtics, like what has he taught you? Like before you even have coached your first official game, like what's he been telling you, and what's he been putting in your ear?
We're a family of very short words and short phrases. So he's just saying you just gotta continue to work hard and learn. There's not much that he can necessarily provide. We'll talk X's and O's and basketball and stuff like that, but being in the NBA, their game is relatively a little bit different than college. But just learning, continue to learn, to continue to work hard is mainly the stuff he preaches. He's pretty busy, so it's tough to really get a lot out of him when we have conversations, because you don't want to like have it with basketball.
Yeah, most definitely want to cherish that time with him once you can be with him and stuff like that. But how did that job opportunity of URI like come to you? Like clarify to me, like what is like a graduate assistant? Is it different from like a regular assistant coach, or is it like how does that, well, one, how did that come to you, and two, like what is the true meaning of that?
So after I got done playing, I started to contact different coaches around and see how I can get, usually, to break it down of like the hierarchy type of systematic thing in basketball. You usually start off at like a graduate assistant position, work your way up, player development, assistant coach, head coach, so on. Director of operations is in there as well. So there's levels to work your way up. Luckily I was sitting in my kitchen one day with Robin Duncan and Finn Sullivan, and I'm not stressing, but I'm just like, where am I gonna go? What situation fits me? All this stuff, different schools. And I got a call from his name is Ben Sander. He's our chief of staff over at URI. And it was just a call from God. Just like, he was like, hey, we have this position. We know your success and your positioning in Rhode Island basketball and what you carry with your name in the state. Would you like come into work under Coach Miller? And I mean, to work under Coach Miller is just a no-brainer. So it went like that, and we spoke, and I went in for an interview, and I got the job. Now, to segue into what a graduate assistant does, a graduate assistant goes to school full-time to get their master's, and also you are an assistant to the assistant coaches and whatever the program needs. Now that ranges from rebounding for players, working players out, watching tons of film to help the assistants and whoever needs help with film, coding, helping with recruiting videos. It's just an extra hand in the office. And that's so you're assistant coach. However, you also are going to school at the same time.
So you're going to URI right now as well to get your master's?
For my master's, yeah.
So how is that, like, how many more years until you receive your is that like one more year?
It's a 2-year program.
Okay, so like you said, like you assist with whatever the coaching staff wants you to help with. So right now, throughout the off season, as the season approaches, the schedule hasn't even been out yet, but what's been your main focus really around these players at URI?
So it's very important that I continue to relay the message and be kind of the middleman from the coaches to the players.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a player anymore, so not getting as close as a player, but also being a support staff and a middle person for those messages and what we want to practice and accomplish. So as like an assistant coach would, I when I step on the court, I'm constantly reminding why we're here, what do we do, the importance of what we do, and just things like that, and getting guys to just be better individually in their own game as well. So being the best they can be every day is something that we obviously harp on. So from simple to complex, like incorporating our offense and stuff like that.
All right, and I know coaching is, ran through your family for years, having your dad, Joey, like everyone around you that's been in it, like AAU programs and things like that. Has the game, has it yet? I mean, I know you got a whole career ahead of you, but has it changed in your eyes as a coach, transitioning from a player? I know it's still early, like you're already still a fresh year out of college, but has it changed in any kind of perspective for you?
That's a good question. I think since coaching has always been, I've always been around coaching. I think as a player, I thought more of a coach than as a player, if that makes sense.
That's what I figured. Yeah.
So I was like a coach player. So a lot of my mental processes when I was playing was coach / player oriented, which the game is going to continue to change, but I think I've been able to see and mold myself to the new changes on how that were to happen. So going from different systems, GW system with one coach, GW system with another coach, then to UVM with another completely different system with Coach Becker, I was able to see that from a player's perspective and a coach's perspective.
Right. And do you feel like you're at kind of like an advantage because of like the coaching background that you've had just growing up and like the mentality that you were taught as a player? Like, do you feel like that gives you a little bit of an advantage?
Of an advantage against two?
As far as like just having more knowledge about how to direct these players and how to, groom them to be like the best they can be. Because like you said, like on the floor for you, like when you were playing, it was more so one, obviously how to get your teammates better, but you were thinking like almost like a coach. So like, do you feel like that gives you more of an advantage than it would for someone that grew up in a different kind of like play style per se?
Yeah. Yes and no. I think Coach Miller did a great job of implementing graduate assistants that were former players. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, depending on the coach and the system that they have, having a graduate assistant can either be a former player or could not be a former player. But either the not former player, if that person's good with like statistics, film, they bring other aspects to the game. If a former player is a graduate assistant, then it'll be easier to use what I use, and what's like, this is where it's not, so it's an advantage, is my experience in playing. So like I said, I'm not 100% an assistant coach. So it's not like I'm like, I don't have an advantage. I just bring something else to the table.
Right.
That makes sense. Like, so me and Andrew, our other graduate assistant, we have a lot of experience in college basketball. So we're able to like be like, that move might not work because of this. So we just bring more to the table. We bring more, there's more lessons that we can teach. But I don't, it depends on the system. So that's why I'm not really saying an advantage, because it just depends on the system that the coach has in place. You know what I mean?
No, right. Yeah. You said it best too. Because like you guys are ex-players. Like, if I'm not wrong, Andrew was a player was he
Travis? He went to Butler.
Butler. That's right. Okay. So, like you said, like you guys both played at the college level, very high college level. So you have that background. And again, like just the coaching background that you've had growing up. But, as far as like player wise, I did want to ask you about Sebastian Thomas, because you guys are both Hendricken alums. You guys are a little bit older than, you're a little bit older than him. So I don't think you guys played together at Hendricken the same years, but what's it been like coaching him in that URI system? It kind of feels like everything like fell into place. Like, guys are both from Rhode Island. You guys are both, working your own paths, and, just elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah. So I've been working with Bassie for quite some time. Like I after practice, before practice, like we get a lot of shots up, we get a lot of workouts, and I think that just clicked from me knowing his background and him knowing my background, both being under Coach Gomes. We both like have this some like a connection, a basketball connection. But it's pretty cool knowing that Coach Gomes has two players on the floor in the Ryan Center where we used to also win championships in high school. So like it's the full circle moment is really cool. But Bassie's really good. And it's cool to work him out and see him get better and how much his game can continue to evolve. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to, touch base with him. I talked to him a little bit before last year, a little bit before he had that that big role he did last year. He came off like probably like a sixth or seventh man, maybe like seventh or eighth man off the bench, huge as a freshman, I believe. Now he's going to be a sophomore. So that's cool to see, where you guys are both at. A little bit off track, but you did just mention Coach Gomes. I'm actually talking to him tomorrow. Is there anything I should expect from him tomorrow? I mean, I haven't thought of a rundown yet, but anything in mind that I should ask him, you think?
well, he's gonna be he's very monotone.
Yeah.
He looks very stern. He will probably smile very few times, and he's gonna be extremely direct and very serious. I don't know, just pick his mind about defense. He's a very defensive-minded head coach. He's a very successful head coach. So how to win championships, he's very scripted. A lot of his stuff is he's very strategic. If you ever gone into his office, he has practice plans from when my brother used to play. Like I'm talking about sheets full of paper, like day one and then the day practice plan. So he's just completely invested in and he's had a lot of successful people underneath him.
Yeah, I got to cook up some good questions. I like to dig deep and get the people out of their comfort zone a little bit. So I definitely got
to ask him about anything. Ask him about Commander, how him and Commander's relationship are. Commander is assistant coach for him.
Mm-hmm.
How it was like having two different Mazzullas.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Well, you can also ask him how it was like having two different Barons, because he had both Barons as well.
Mm-hmm.
How it was like coaching Ricky Lito. What's it like to have so much success? How does he approach each season differently? Stuff like that. Because I mean, the turnover rate at Hendricken is pretty high. Because he can lose guys to prep school. He can get new guys. It's hard to really, I mean, it's hard for public schools, but it's also hard for him to keep players, one, and to have success with different players each year.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll definitely take that into account. I can't wait to talk to him. I think I'm talking to him like in the afternoon or something like that. But grateful that he could join me tomorrow.
It'll be good to also, his father just passed away.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be good to just say maybe the podcast is in memory of his dad. That would really mean a lot to him. His dad meant a lot to him. So yeah, he's going through a tough time a little bit, but it'll be good that if you start off with that.
Yeah, I'll definitely give my condolences, try to lift his spirits a little bit as well. But yeah, I appreciate the insight. But again, going back to URI, kind of again just getting your feel for it. Like what were the first few weeks of the training like, once you first officially got the job, your first like few weeks into the program and stuff like that. And like what do you, again, like going back to like your focuses and things like that, what are you mostly responsible for? I know we talked about it a little bit earlier, but again, just kind of reflect on that, like the first few weeks.
Being able to see different coaches and different programs. I've seen a lot of different coaches, a lot of different assistant coaches, and in 3 different coaching cultures. So going to URI for the first time wasn't as intimidating, but I also saw those as a player. I didn't see the difference as a coach. So there was a lot to learn in a coach from a coach's perspective. I came in, and while they have been there for a couple of weeks, and so there was not much time for me to trial and error, or I had to learn on the fly. So that had to do with coding, watching film. Ryan McCloskey, he's our video coordinator. He taught me a lot with film, so I learned how to do film in a week or so on my first week there. And then my first meeting, I just remember, like, we went to like where we all meet for our practice, and Coach Miller just started the practice plan, just went straight out. And I'm writing stuff down. There's no need for me to ask questions. I know how to play the game, so I'll just figure it out on the fly. So that's how really like my first week went, was just figuring out where to go, how to do it, how does Coach Miller like things to be done on the court. Just a lot of having to be a visual learner, having to use your basketball mind. And it's kind of it was a little bit tough because you don't know what's quote unquote like a stupid question. If it is a question, if a question needs to be even asked. But at URI, there's such a great support staff and people around Coach Miller that know what he wanted. So it made it a little easier. Like Ryan and Coach Ben both helped me through the process as well, along with the assistant coaches. So just a lot of learning on the fly, the offense, how things are done based on the culture, what to expect as a coach, what Coach Miller expects, a lot of stuff to learn. But I'm still learning. There's still more to learn. We still have to do a lot more things, but I feel better than I did in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, what's it been like being under Coach Miller's wing? Because I know David Cox was the coach last year. And it was a crazy offseason. They signed a ton of guys from like all over the place. So, just talk about your relationship so far with Coach Miller.
That's something that it's a little bit different. If I was a player, it's a different relationship because he would be coaching me, but now I work for him.
You're right.
So it's just making sure that everything that he needs and wants, everything's met. Expectations are very, very high. So making sure you're doing everything to the best of your ability, which I love because that's how my dad was. So I don't really take that. He's just always on high alert, always has high energy, wants things to be done, but that's how you breed winning. And coming from Coach Becker and UVM, that's the same way Coach Becker was. So just always, it hasn't been very hard for me because I understand like winning, it takes a lot to win, and changing a program from the start. This is his first year. That requires a lot of intensity, a lot of attention to detail. So basically showing up to work, ready to work, whatever. You don't have the same day 2 days in a row. Like there's new stuff to learn, new things to do.
Yeah, and definitely. You told me like earlier how earlier in the day you told me that you have workouts and stuff like that early in the morning. So are you talking about like individual workouts for certain players, or is that something you do on like your own time, or is that part of like
both?
Like
both.
It's both. Yeah. So just elaborate on those. Yeah.
So I'll help assistant coach rebound, like Austin Carroll. I'll help him rebound with Bassie. After he gets done with that, I'll help Bassie rebound, and our managers as well. We will help rebound for Bassie so we can get extra shots. The day will go ahead. We have another individual with someone else, same thing. So just constant workouts.
One of the questions I was really looking forward to asking you is, I know again the season hasn't kicked off yet. It hasn't been a full season yet, but what has been the most challenging part being a coach like right now for you?
I think the most challenging part for me is I'm used to stepping into a situation or something with guys that are my same age. Being in college, we range from 18 to 21-ish, 22, which like, how 18-year-olds act, how 19-year-olds act, how like we all know each other. We're all in the same age. We're all in the same generation. I think something that was unique and is still continue to be unique is how do you function when people around you have families, people around you, they are older than you, 10 years, 15 years older than you, that how do you know when just doing your job and being professional and things like that is something that I'm gonna have to continue to learn. And which is I don't mind learning it, but it's unique stepping into the office, and you got to remember that you're the youngest one there. I'm the youngest one in the office.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah.
and-
And like
and-
segueing off of that, like the age gaps and just adjusting to everything. Like, what are you expecting for your first official season as a assistant coach or graduate assistant coach?
I'm just expecting to learn and to help the team do whatever it takes to win. I get told to do something, I do it to the best of my ability, and hopefully that helps the team win. I don't really have many high expectations for myself other than what to learn and what to continue to learn and what to apply to the players and how to be the best middleman between players and coaching staff, and how to help the team in the best way that I can help the team based on my job.
Yeah, most definitely. And very, very, very well said. And again, I appreciate you, Justin, for taking the time for joining me a second time. Do you know when the schedule like officially releases, or you got that's still like kind of up in the air?
That's still, we're still working on that. It should be finalized soon.
Cool. All right. Yeah, because I'm gonna be again trying to get my way down there on the court, trying to call any kind of game I can over the radio, ESPN Plus, writing on.
Have you spoke to a guy to reach out to is Stone Freeman. He's a Hendricken grad.
Yeah, I talked to him.
You do?
I mean, I think twice. I talked to him on the podcast twice.
Stone's a good guy.
Yeah, he helped me get in a relationship with like all like the guys down there. Like I forget some of the people's names, but I have like their emails down. I reached out to them. I'm on like the schedule for like a few like men's soccer, women's soccer, and volleyball. And then once that kicks off and basketball comes out, I'll have a schedule for basketball. So he played a huge role in helping me, outlet my name and things like that. So yeah, shout out to Stone. He definitely helped a lot. And were you in his grade when you guys graduated?
But I went to school with him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He
But
was Hendricken grad too.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, that concludes our episode today. Again, Justin, I appreciate you hopping on for the second time. I just want to ask you the second time around, what'd you think of the show?
Way more organized, you're way more confident, and the questions are better. You know how to segue into different questions, and the fluidity of the podcast was way better.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That's what people are telling me. Like, just for my first episode with your brother, like people are like, you seem so much more comfortable on camera. And that was my main goal, just to get comfortable behind the camera, so it prepares me for this level of broadcasting, sideline reporting.
The more and more you do it, the more it becomes second nature.
Exactly. Repetitions, that's the most important thing about it, for sure.
Of course.
Again, Justin, appreciate you for hopping on, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.